Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Playable World stream about Stars Reach. My name's Carneros. I'm your host. Got Dave Georgeson, our game director here. How you doing?
I are fine.
Okay, good morning. And also we have Larry Dax and Thomas playing the game, and Thomas is doing the engineering on the stream as well. Thank you very much, both of you. Yay! Nice. Seeing you guys have prepared there. All right. A little dance action at this hour. Appreciate it. Get the energy up a little bit. A little cardio on a Saturday. Yeah, for us, it's 9 a.m. On a Saturday morning. And I appreciate y'all coming and joining us for a little coffee action as we get started. The guys are in game a little early today, but we're about to open it up here in a little bit. Rod is running around getting servers freshened up, checking the bathrooms and stuff. And then we're going to open that up for testing. And we have a new build today. Hopefully you have seen the test notes. We posted them. We posted a short version in Discord. We posted the main thing on starsreach.com. They're substantial. We obviously can't exactly post much of it on social media because it's long. There's a lot in there, but it's the one called Physics Midterm, and you'll figure out why we called it that as we go through it today. So Dave is going to take us through some parts of it, not just what's different. You'll see. Not just what's different, but a little bit of the why behind parts of it. Because some of it will make more sense in context of the next patch after this or a future patch. So stand by on some of this. We're laying some groundwork. Think of it as making one layer of the cake at a time. And we're doing the physics layers this time. So this is going to be fun. And by the way, Rod, if you're listening, give us the secret hand signal when the servers are up, and we'll tell the audience so they can jump in a little bit early if they want to. Otherwise, it'll be the top of the next hour. Oh, thank you, Rami. Yeah, I'm very proud of it because I've nurtured him for a year to bloom again. So, love that thing. Love that thing. He gets ice every other day. It's cute. Okay, so no, he's teasing me about my orchid, but yeah, Parker, first Fireside. Thank you for coming. This is oh geez, we've had a lot of them. I didn't bring my note that said how many it's been. But I'm gonna look that up real quick in between stuff. But it's been like 40. It's been a lot of them. But physics midterm. I want to jump into that one. We'll come back and do some housekeeping later.
Cool.
But talk to them about what has gone into this and what
Oh, I probably should pull up some notes.
I have them up. World updates. We're updating some of our planets. Why did we have to update our planets? Why did we have to change them? Or jump into adhesion?
Because we wrecked them. Yeah. What we did was we changed the adhesion values on the resources and the liquid and solid densities of the different materials. So
what did that do to the underground caverns?
Yeah, wrecked them. Wrecked above the stuff, wrecked a lot of stuff. I mean, in really, really interesting ways. Well, you'll see when you get in the game, the caverns are like way more organic looking than they were before because I'd start from the beginning. You're reading ahead, Rick. So there's liquid and solid densities, and that one's easy to explain. It's basically the density is basically what sorts to the top. So what floats, what doesn't float, what sinks down below other materials, so on and so forth. So that reordered the world So the materials that were just in there before, they all just kind of had, if they were solid, they had a really high density, and if they were liquid, they had a really low one. And then what we did was we did a lot of research on different resources and stuff, and then sort of sandwiched in our fictional ones into the middle of it, and we set it up so that it acts a lot more like real life. And then we also did, we altered all the adhesion values. Now, what adhesion does in game is, let's say you have a really low adhesion value, say like, I don't know, 6 meters or something like that. In fact, shale is that right now, so let's talk about that. So shale can basically be built out, like if you have a pillar of shale here, and then you build out from it horizontally, it can go about 6 meters before it starts to fall. So that's what its adhesion value is. A higher adhesion value lets you build farther out horizontally. What that means in the game is, well, like if you're just tunneling underground, you're probably not going to notice it much. Because unless a material has a really low adhesion value, like dirt or silt or pumice, something like that, the width of a tunnel is not far enough for it to fall. That stuff, it will fall, and you're used to that because that's the way it was before. But when you start building horizontal space, like you're digging forward and then you start to make a bigger cavern, that's when you'll notice stuff like for instance, shale will start to fall once you get the cavern out to a big enough spot. People used to, let's see if we can undercut an entire hill. Well, it's really, really, really hard to do that now because as you start to cut under it, then parts of it will fall. So it acts a lot more naturally than you would expect. But when we took all that stuff and applied it to worlds that had already been created, like you can imagine, like on the temperate world, Roding 4, it had that gigantic cavern that was under the mountain where originally the Aldir used to hang out and stuff. When we applied it just to the world without any changes, that whole hell just imploded. The Xeroxa chambers, they all imploded, everything imploded. So what we did was we thought about it for a while, and we changed the way that going forward we prog-gen planets so that when they start to make caverns and stuff like that, we start to add pillars every once in a while if we want it to go. And that pillaring stuff has worked out really well. The caverns look a lot more organic now because parts of them fall and parts of them don't if they're supported. Yeah, well, Boba, that's exactly right. That's not quite true. Voxel blocks still can be extended out a long way because they don't obey the same rules. But like if you're depositing materials, then yes, everything eventually falls if put horizontal. But you can stabilize it really easily. All you have to do is put a pillar up. Every so often, just put a pillar up and it'll stabilize it. So the way to think of it is, if I had a pillar that went up like this and I started building horizontally from it, it would go out to that adhesion value. If before I get to that where the adhesion value would start to make it fall, if I just stick another pillar up, then I can keep going. So you just need to buttress stuff if you want to build a big cavern underground, or if you want to build a long bridge or something like that, you just need to support it with pillars every once in a while. It's pretty intuitive once you get in the game. It's way harder to explain than it is to understand in the game. You'll see. But yeah, it made some real changes on some of the maps, and we had to do some doctoring. The good news is, as we go forward and start procedurally generating planets, it'll just be automagic, and we won't have to worry about it. Does that make sense?
Ask him, how about the question about falling to the side?
Falling to the side. The plans that
Smaller asks, is there plans for stuff to fall sideways instead of straight down? Like if I eat out half of a tall rock formation, will it collapse to the side if it's not balanced anymore? Or will it still wait until it can drop straight down?
Yeah, no, I get what you're asking, and the answer is not yet. It's on the list of things we want to do. In fact, there's a whole process of wanting to like break things up as they fall and have different angles and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, that is hopefully coming, but I'm not even going to promise it soon. It's going to be a while.
Smollett, I didn't know the answer to that either, honestly. Okay. Mosh Pet makes a joke about where do we get the pillars.
Oh, just make them.
Do arches exactly? Do arches have a supporting effect? Like an arched bridge might not need a support.
Currently, no. Currently,
they did in the Middle Ages. Just kidding. All right.
Yeah, we're not quite to the Roman level of technology yet. No, we just it doesn't work yet. So you'll need to buttress even arches.
Okay. Can we build the Leaning Tower of Pisa later?
You can do it now. Yeah, that's a
now it's easier
right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when do we bury ourselves alive when mining? We can bury ourselves alive when mining. Good morning, Control Chaos. Yeah. Always.
Yeah, you're really not going to bury yourselves alive while you're mining unless you go wide. If you start to make an area where like if you're burrowing through shale, for instance, and you keep your tunnel narrow, it's never going to collapse on you. It's only if you make it wide enough that it would get wider than the adhesion value that it would start to fall.
Just don't empty your hopper. Build a whole bunch of mining tools and swap them out every time they get full, and then you won't kill yourself while mining.
That's hilarious. That might work. I haven't tried it.
That's the whole idea of sandboxes. The players will try things we didn't think of.
Yeah. No, I don't actually know if the hopper is tool specific or not. That's why I was wondering.
Okay. Well, I hope so. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I just don't know how we coded it.
All right. These are some good questions, but let's jump back into the notes.
Sure.
What part do you want to talk to us about? Yeah. Why did we change adhesion values, by the way?
Oh, why? Because it wasn't natural at all the way it was. Ultimately, we want stuff like this to apply to everything. Like when you're building and things like that, we want all the materials to have these kinds of relative strengths and everything like that, because it allows you to create different effects. It makes it more interesting that certain resources have certain different characteristics. It gives builders nuance that they can learn and understand how to manipulate over time. I think I've talked about this multiple times before, but our goal is to set every aspect of the game up so that you don't just unlock skill nodes and be the best. You actually have to spend time with it and learn how to do things, and then you can create end results or be able to do things that other players don't know how to do yet after just unlocking the skills. It gives you more to learn. It gives it more fun for a long period of time as you become expert, and you can do things that other people don't know how to do yet. So yeah, I mean, it's an MMO. We want you to play for a long time. We want you to feel comfortable there and play and happy. Players are very happy when they are good at something that they do. I used to joke all the time with people that your favorite game, I don't care who you are and what games you play, your favorite game is the one you're good at. So we want to make sure that the different aspects of the game are things that you can get good at. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And every adhesion change you make obviously applies in space as well as on land, right?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Will planets in the future have variable rates of gravity?
Yes. I mean, technically we can do it now. We're just not doing it. There's some work that we want to do with gravity. I mean, you can see that we have the microgravities on asteroids, and we have definitely been able to do like 2 times gravity and things like that. But we have to do work to make it fun. Heavy gravity is brutal. Falling damage would be increased. You won't be able to jump very far. Grapples won't be as effective. Those kinds of things, and that's a lot of work to make it a fun thing. So we just haven't done it yet.
All right, that makes sense. Okay. All right. All right. Solid and liquid densities. Cool. Why did we do this? Just to change the feeling of digging a hole? Because it does feel now like it feels different depending on what you're digging in. And I don't remember that in any other game.
Yay.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I mean, it is different. It's it's the whole living world thing. We want the world to be intuitive. And there's a few things, like, for instance, right now, even after this update, Pete doesn't float. And the reason why Pete doesn't float is because it caused some bugs. So we turned down its density for this update. But eventually, we'll turn it up so that it is lighter than water, because Pete should float. That's the way it works in the real world. And so we want, like when you throw pumice into water, it should float. Things like that. And we want the game to be as intuitive as it possibly can be. And the way to make it intuitive is to make it act like it does in the real world. Lead is heavy. It should sink. Things like that.
Yep. Right. Okay. Okay, you made changes to how XP is earned, the rates at which XP is earned. Can you talk us through some of those changes?
Yeah.
And the why of it?
Well, okay. Balance. The way we had it before was, as we created features, we just jammed in some XP values. We didn't worry about what the rate of gain was or anything like that. We just did some real simple values and we put it in there. So what this pass was a giant exercise in spreadsheet manipulation, where we'd go into the world and we'd, like, say, for instance, chop down trees. And we'd measure, like, how long it took to chop down trees and how often you got dubers. And dubers are what we call the loot that you get from the trees and stuff. And then what the rate of felling trees was and everything like that. And then we measured all of those things, and we found out that the rock bottom level of XP gain that we couldn't change to be any lower was your mining rate. Okay? So when you're mining, you're getting XP every so often as you mine through the hill. Okay, so that was our rock bottom. We can't go lower than this. So what we did was we inflated everything else up to the point where it matched the approximate rate of gain that you get from mining. So if you're getting 1,000 XP per, I don't know, I can't remember the numbers right now. Well, let's say it's every hour you get 1,000 XP. That's not it, but let's just use it as an example. We wanted to make sure that you got approximately that much while you were doing forestry, and approximately that much while you were crafting, and so on and so forth. So it was all about the same rate gain, because that way we can adjust the rate at which you get you're able to unlock skill nodes, so that it's similar from tree to tree. And that's what we did. So the XP rates were adjusted, and including combat, and the skill node costs were inflated quite a bit, so that we could keep pace with the new XP rates that you were getting. Anyway, like I said, balance. So you don't end up going, like, for instance, before you were like, wow, forestry is horrible because you only get 1 XP per tree and it just takes forever. That kind of stuff gets fixed with this sort of change.
Yeah. Well, because initially we just need to make sure that it's actually functioning and you are getting any XP. And if it shows something on screen, yay, we win. Yeah, no, I get it. I did notice, though, that if one of those big event bosses shows up, remember that mother shark from space? What is her name? Space Shark?
Mother Shark. No, it's Mother Shark.
The That mother shark, we killed her as a group, and we got thousands of combat XP from that encounter.
Yeah.
Uh, that was a nice exception. That was an unexpected smile the next time I pressed K to open up my skill panel and thought, whoa, okay. She was a pain. She was a pain in the neck, but she was worth it.
Yeah, there's an assumption in the XP, the combat XP right now, that up to a certain danger rating, which is what we internally call the color codes, the white, yellow, orange, all that stuff. Those are danger rating. And so we internally just say DR, and that's what I'm going to say for this conversation. So the mother sharks are the mother shark is the toughest thing in the game. It's the highest DR in the game right now, and
Okay.
and then it goes all the way from fawns at DR1 up to mother shark at like DR 480, that kind of thing. And so there's lots of levels of progression in between, and the different XPs, the XP gain is, we made some assumptions on you should have this many specials before you fight this kind of creature. We assume that you're going to be fighting with a group, or at least with a buddy at this level, a group at this level, a really big group at this level, that kind of thing. And then we, now that we have the XP sharing for combat, then we made assumptions about how much would each person get if they all pulled the same amount of aggro in the game when they were during those encounters. And that's where the XP gains came from for combat.
I found that the combat res system worked half decently during that fight. I think I died 4 times, but luckily we didn't all die at the same time, so folks could run around and do reses in between while other people were doing stuff. It lets you regen some of your stuff for a moment too. Yeah, that was helpful. That worked pretty well.
Yeah, I think people can start actually learning to pull aggro to give people a chance to res their friends, and I'm telling you, with all the crafting changes and stuff, you're gonna have a lot of consumables. It might be time to learn how to use them because they're really useful.
They are useful, yeah. Okay, let's see if there are any questions from chat. Are we going to see quicksand in game? If you're heavy enough, all sand is quicksand.
Some of those characters would definitely sink or float, however you look at it.
Okay. Well, the servitors, they don't float. I shouldn't say that yet. Okay. How many abilities for combat are you aiming for? I freaking love Blossom.
Yeah, we right now we're going through and we're doing a big restructure on the data structure for tools and weapons. We just recently did that for the creatures, and that's why we went from having I think what it was like 9 different creatures. We went from 9 to 120 different variations, and that's because we made internally, we made our ability to make changes so incredibly rapid, and our iteration time just like was, I don't know, 100 times faster than it was previously, that we were able to create lots of variants and be able to test stuff. We're just about to the point where we're going to be able to do that with player tools and player weapons. So I would expect an explosion of that sort of thing in the next few updates. There's going to be a lot.
Jeez. Look at what they're doing to our planet before people log in. Gentlemen.
Oh, I wasn't watching.
Oh, no.
What are they doing?
They're making a geyser thing. And now they're waving for the camera because I'm giving them a hard time. Yes, Gunk will remember this, people. They're taking screenshots right now. The one
that geyser thing is not going to last.
Thomas. Yeah.
We'll get gases in soon. We keep saying that.
Right.
Sometimes we'll have gases.
Oh, now you put a gravel pile. Thomas, don't make the whole place ugly. We're about to have guests over.
You have the tea cozies.
Okay. Okay, mining resource rates changed. Slate is faster than diamond. Exactly. Do you want to make any comments on that stuff?
Yeah, so the resource rates were, well, I mean, I listened to you guys when you were playing, and you're like, well, I really don't like getting 0.01 of something. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, that's lame. And so while we were doing all these other balance passes, we went ahead and did, we inflated basically the amount of resources that you get as you dig. Now, hardness still adjusts that. So, in theory, if everything had exactly the same hardness, you would tunnel through it and get the same amount of resources from it. But because, like for instance, diamond is way harder than pumice, you're going to be able to dig through it faster, which means you're going to be able to get resources from it faster. But the rate of return is the same. If you mine out a certain area, a cubic area of diamond, and you mine out that same cubic area of pumice, you're going to get the same amount of resources from it. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's just harder to dig through.
Yeah. Okay. So now, resources have different statistics. Potential, quality, resilience, versatility.
Oh, okay. This one's
harder to explain. Explain it for people who never played Star Wars Galaxies. Because those folks will know immediately what this is.
Yeah, okay. So how this affects this update is not at all. However, it's laying the groundwork for for when we do artisan crafting. So the idea is that when you're doing basic crafting or artisan crafting, the different materials that you gain have different characteristics. Each resource has 4 different characteristics. When you combine them together in a recipe and it requires, say, like 3 resources, then 2 out of 3 of those are going to make a difference in the end product. So 2 out of 3 of those resources. So let's say that you wanted something that was really high quality. You'd want to go out there and get, like that's one of the 4 things. Q is quality. If you wanted to do that, you'd go out and try to get resources that had a really high quality. But if you could only get 2 out of the 3, that's okay because the third one falls out. But then the final product is an average of those 2 elements. So the quality would be determined by the highest of the 2 out of the 3 resources that you're using. I feel like I'm being muddy here, but if you're still with me, then what that means is when you combine stuff together, the PQVR are all going to be determined for the next level, the thing that you're making. And the PQVR of the end product will affect different abilities of that thing. Like, for example, the damage of a blaster might be determined by the quality and the potential of the product that you create. So if you really wanted a high damage thing, then you would try to get P and Q up, whereas you wouldn't care as much about V and R. But if you wanted range to be high on something, then you might want to adjust different variables. And that gives the crafters a lot of knobs to tweak. So when we do the artisan crafting stuff, basic crafting is basically you just pick the resources, you hit the button, it's going to create an end product that's an average of the top 2 out of all those different characteristics. Voila. But when you get to artisan crafting, you're actually going to start trying to push the individual values beyond that, and that's a subject for another time. But that's why we have the 4 stats. Lots of combinations, lots of things to tweak.
Please don't burn the banana trees. But the one guy later,
said, not right now, but later, the stats will be different from planet to planet. So the gold that you mine on Rodine 4 will be different than the gold that you mine on Zeraxa, for example, if they both have gold. And that makes an economy as people trade and buy and move stuff around and everything like that. And that's a backbone of the game.
Mosh Pet is saying, shouldn't the banana bunch vanish from the tree as it's harvested? Actually, in real life, the once that stalk of bananas has been harvested, the tree's dead. The tree dies. You have to cut the tree down, and you can only harvest bananas from a tree once. But they send out more shoots than ours do in the game, and they start new ones that sprout up next to it more aggressively in real life than the sim does. But bananas are we've simplified our simulation to have it treat them more like a regular tree than how they are IRL.
We'll make a banana simulator later.
We have bananas in our backyard at my sister's house, so I'm used to them. And I've been asked to go out and cut down the ones that just that's all good.
To answer the original question, yes, eventually fruit will disappear when you harvest the tree or bush or whatever it is.
Oh, nice.
But we don't have that in yet.
Nice. So Black Wolf asks, so if something like iron will have different values, will each different value take up an additional inventory spot?
Right now, yeah, and ain't that horrible. But what we're going to be doing in the future, and we're doing a big UI revamp right now so that we can do that, is there will be an interface in inventory which is more reliant on weight rather than slots. So when you carry lead versus pumice, I keep using those as examples, but they're handy. When you carry lead versus pumice, you're going to be able to carry a lot more pumice or feathers or whatever than you would lead, because lead is very heavy. But what that allows us to do when we change to that structure is you can collect different varieties of iron, and there will be just like an iron entry, and it'll be kind of like folders and subfolders. You'll open up the iron, and then it'll show all your different varieties of iron, and you'll be able to do stuff. And then we'll also have refinery, so that you can take the iron that you're not going to use because it's not the qualities you want or the characteristics that you want, then you'll be able to transmogrify it over to a higher, you refine it to a higher quality to something you do want to use at a very, very lossy rate. But still, it allows you to use a bunch of that other stuff. Anyway, so the inventory structure will be changing in the near future to allow that kind of thing, because otherwise you do not have enough slots. Yeah.
And they asked about mycology skills, and I had to think of one of our old coworkers who used to be really, really into mycology.
True.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll go in there. They're not on the current plan, though.
Yeah, there's a question in there about, are we going to have stats on plants and stuff in addition to minerals? And the answer is, yeah, they already have them. So when you harvest that stuff, it will already have 4 stats, just like everything else does. Everything has 4 stats. PQVR is on everything. And it's how the thing, like for resources, it's just PQVR. And then the items and stuff that you make will reference the PQVR to influence the different statistics and abilities of the item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there different bags to carry more of specialized stuff? Well, there's the grav sled.
Eventually.
Grav sled. Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, your personal inventory is going to be, like I said before, all about weight. So you can carry as much as you can carry. And then if you want to carry more than that, you'll have to have some other mechanism to be able to do it. So yes, there will be other things that you can utilize. Grab sleds, I don't know, robot pals that carry stuff for you, things.
Spaceships.
Hard to use on a planet, but yeah.
Exactly. Just leave it in your ship, guys. Anyway, all right. Well, there's questions popping up. Tree planting is going to get better, folks. You hang on to your gloves. It's going to get better. Okay, let's see. Secure trade. Let's talk about secure trade.
Without secure trade, we do not have an economy, period.
Exactly.
So in order to bootstrap the economy, we have to allow you to start bartering with each other. Did we add credits? No, we did not add a currency. Not yet. So right now, you're going to be like, well, I got 3 of these. Can you give me 5 of those? That kind of stuff. And that's the way the economy is going to be right now. But now it's possible. So we did 2 things in this update that stimulate the economy that will be. One of them is we added secure trade so that you can say, what I just said. And then we also added all the crafting skill trees and pulled all the recipes out of all the other trees and put them into the crafting trees. So now the people that want to craft will craft, and they'll become good at making things. And later on, when we have artisan crafting and everything like that, they'll become superb at making things. And everybody else can just play the game that they want to and buy stuff from the crafters. But the crafters, if they're dedicated to crafting, they're not going to want to necessarily do everything else. So then there becomes an economy of, well, I will supply you this really great Omni Blaster that you wanted, but you got to bring me all the pieces. Or in addition, because for my time, I also want, 500 gold or whatever. And you got to go out and get those things. So one of the things we're starting to design right now is the mission board, and you should expect to see that soon, because that's the other piece. So that crafters or whoever can then say, I need this, I'm willing to pay that. And then you'll be able to get that stuff. But secure trade is the first step in it.
Okay, I have to jump in with a question, because we just watched on stream, Thomas went over and refreshed the timer on his camp. Does that consume a camp kit every time he does that?
No. You can keep refreshing it forever.
Nice. Thank you. I like that.
Yeah, you bet.
Type a 1 in chat if you did not know that, by the way. Some of y'all know everything, but I didn't. Any chance for living technology like organic spaceships? I don't know what they're thinking.
Is there a chance? Yeah, it's an MMO. We'll do everything eventually. Right away.
They need to investigate the cornucopia when they get a chance.
Well, we have we recently had a big planning meeting for the game, and we were trying to figure out how to describe the game. And one of the ways that we decided was a really good way of describing the game is the servitors are testing us. We are determining the fate of humanity, the future of humanity by our actions right now. And
look at what they just did.
What?
They just aggroed 2 giant groups. Oh well, never mind. Keep going. We're being tested. The servitors are checking to see something humanity.
Yeah, so we're being tested, and how we act and everything like that determines the future of the galaxy. So it's not like we don't have a preset script of how this game is going to go. Y'all are making decisions. If you wreck all the worlds, the servitors are going to react one way. If you caretake them all, then the servitors are going to act a different way. Different threats and things like that come are going to be based on what you do as a group of players. So the galaxy is going to be shaped by your actions. And I defy you to find an example of an MMO that does that. So it's not just, yay, I built something and nobody else has ever built in this particular spot and it's a cool thing. It's not, like, oh, I had this great fight and everything like that. It's like you're really doing stuff to the universe. You're shaping the game with your actions. And that's a unique thing. So, getting back to the cornucopia and everything like that, those are plot lines that are possible in the future, kind of thing. but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Run through and at least pick up your loot, bro. Oh, I can't watch this. All right. Thomas, you're embarrassing us. At least it's not PvP. He hates that. He hates losing at PvP. Skill tree overhaul. I noticed you press the K for skill tree or knowledge. You can think of it that way, by the way. Press the K. It opens up your skill trees. I noticed they jiggled around a bit.
A lot.
A lot. Yeah. It's exciting. What do you want to talk about there?
Let's see. We'll talk about everything except crafting first.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing to notice is that none of the skill trees except the crafting trees unlock recipes. Period. So what that means is you no longer have to unlock a skill node in combat in order to be able to use, say, like the companion orbs or the gravity gun or a shield or anything like that. In fact, shield's a really good example because you don't have to unlock anything to use a shield. All you have to do to use a shield is have a shield. So if somebody makes it and you buy it from them, you can use it. And you can get a weapon that way and then use it. And then you'll start accumulating XP using that weapon. So that's a first big change. So the structure of the skill trees changed quite a bit because of that. And then there's crafting. Our interface is not perfect right now. It's a little bit non-intuitive, so I apologize. But if you click on the crafting skill tree, what you'll find is that it's actually a collection of skill trees. So you can imagine it as being crafting as a root node, and then there's just branch underneath it. There's all kinds of different skill trees that branch off of crafting. So the first top part of crafting is cooking. So you'll gather fruits and clay soil and things like that, and you'll start making consumables using the cooking skills. And that's how you'll earn crafting experience. But after you earn crafting experience for a while, you can then unlock different crafting trees like weaponsmith and toolmaker and architect, and there's a whole bunch of them. The first thing you have to unlock to get off the cooking tree is artisan. And right now that looks like a why did I buy this step? Because when you go there, all it really does is let you unlock a bunch of other different trees. And that's because artisan crafting isn't quite there yet. So we didn't release it to you yet. So what will happen is you'll do your cooking, then you'll unlock the artisan crafting node, and that will open up the whole artisan crafting game when we have that ready. We're working on it now, but when we have that ready, that'll be there. And it'll unlock the ability to go down those other skill trees. So what you have right now is the ability to go down the other skill trees. So that's architect and civil engineering and toolmaker and weaponsmith, and I'm missing one other one. What is the other one? Refining, right. So that's how you get to that stuff. And we changed a bunch of those crafting trees so that, like, for instance, civil engineering, like I said, you don't have to unlock fabricator. You don't have to unlock instaformer. You can just use those as soon as you have them. But somebody's got to make them before you can use them. So
better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of reshuffling, a lot of new stuff, but it's good.
Yeah. So that did mean we moved refining. You're right. We moved it around.
It's not. Yeah, it's not out of the game. You just somebody has to unlock the ability to do the refining, which means you have to do a little crafting in order to become a refiner.
Yeah. All right. And combat's probably going to look as complicated as crafting one of these days, isn't it?
I mean, kinda.
Not as complicated as crafting. Okay.
Yeah, eventually. Oh, by the way, I wanted to go back to the crafting interface for why I said it's non-intuitive, Because when you open up that crafting interface, you see nodes for all the different crafting skill trees, and the only one you can use at the beginning is cooking. So we haven't done a good job of showing you what links to whatever. We did make a small change so that if you mouse over the root node of each of the skill trees, it'll tell you which one you have to unlock to be able to get to it. And that'll get better as we improve the interface. What was your follow-up question? What was it?
There are stacks of questions. I'll give you the next another one. Will materials with specific stats be named similar to Star Wars Galaxies?
Yeah, they'll be like rhodium for iron, or like Xerox of sandstone, that kind of stuff.
Okay. And will blueprints be locked into the specific named type of the material?
That's a good question. I'll have to get back to you on it later.
Not sure, Hoobie. Not sure. However, once you have made your excavator with Rodin 5 or Rodin 4 in our case, iron, does that mean repairs to it will require that same named iron, or could you just use any old iron afterwards for repairs?
Repairs is something that we'll detail later. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, there's a lot of thinking still to do to implement it. Item damage is coming in. I think it's the third update after this one. Is like we're slating for item damage, and item damage also will have repair. So we have a bunch of work we need to do before we can detail it.
So crafters need to get ready, because otherwise we won't have anyone able to repair anything.
Yep.
Just kidding. All right.
Well, kind of.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm getting questions in both Discord and Twitch now, so I'm jumping back and forth looking at things.
All right.
Okay. Timeline for ships and in space.
Nope.
We don't have a timeline yet, sir.
We don't have a timeline for that.
No timeline. The space-time continuum is in flux at this time. Okay. And did we confirm melee weapons? I don't have any. We must not have them.
We don't have any in the game yet. We are going to be working on them.
All right, cross your fingers, folks. All right. What else? Okay. Why repair when you can buy new ones? That's you'll see reasons why.
There are reasons why.
Yeah. What's ADK like Galaxies? Shoot, that was trying to remember what ADK was. We need club, not proper new world without club. Okay. Cichlid, remind me what ADK was, because it slipped out of my head. Anti-decay kit.
No.
Oh, that's right.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
No, that's a no, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, going back over to our physics midterm patch notes. Remember, guys, we're still talking about that, and we only have 7 minutes left. Okay.
Oh.
Medical, botany, farming, forestry, mineralogy. Do we want to talk about? If you see one you want us to dig into, prospecting is now unlocked by default. Thank you. That was the first thing I always unlocked, and yeah,
that's an important change. It's a quality of life change. So when you start as a brand new character, you can assay. You can do basic assaying, which means that you can get discovery rewards when you find new things. Like, I highly recommend, if you're starting the game and you want to unlock some stuff pretty rapidly, just go look for stuff. Go use your terraformer and run around and find all the different minerals, because each time you find a new one, you're going to get discovery bonuses. Use your harvester and touch everything. That sounds horrible, but yeah, touch everything, and then you'll get discovery bonuses for that. If you want Ranger XP, go out and fight everything. Every time you fight a new creature, you're going to get new discovery XP for Ranger. So, discovery XP is a big bonus for early game stuff, and then after you discover everything, you can either go to other planets and discover it there, or you can just start earning it the slower way by doing things.
Okay. And I also, we've got a section with miscellaneous fixes. If you plant a bush that yields fruit, it will yield fruit multiple times, but you can only harvest from it once every 10 minutes. Previously, a planted bush yielded only once and then disappeared, like the ones in the wild.
Yeah, it was horrible, because you'd make a nice little garden and you'd go harvest it and it would all just disappear, and you'd be like, oh man, we got to start from scratch.
Oh man, jeez. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so one of the things that I think we're going to work on in the next update is expanding the number of things that you can get different resources from. So when you're harvesting, it's not just the fruit plants. It's also like, I don't know, you'll get luminous tendrils from the luminweave tendril plant, and things like that. We're limited by
cinnamon bark. I want cinnamon bark.
Cinnamon bark. We don't have a cinnamon tree, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll start making it so that you can harvest more things, and that will make it more interesting for making farms and setting up crops and things. But this is a first step towards that, so that you can actually plant stuff and be able to harvest it every so often and get productivity from it.
Nice. I like a lot of these quality of life changes. Like the camp kit, it does take a bit more resources, but it makes 5 instead of 1. That's nice. Sometimes you have to make 10 banana plaster processes in a row, and you wish you could, you do more of them. Yeah, I like it. Mushrooms now drop. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to talk about just briefly. There's 2 things on the combat balance right now that really bother me that they're still in the update. And I'll just apologize ahead of time. You will notice that orbital. Sorry, that's what we call them. When you're fighting a creature that has projectiles that orbit it, that's what we call orbitals. So and when you're fighting those things, they hit hard right now.
Hard, I tell you.
Really hard. So be very careful. Use shields, dodge, that kind of thing. I've already adjusted the balance. The next update, it'll be fixed. And then the other thing is to make prowlers be a little scarier, we extended the range on how far away they could attack you. And yeah, they're a little strong right now.
They can now pounce on you from like a mile and a half.
Razor beak alligator, not a mile and a half. It's 6 meters though, and it feels like a mile and a half. So there's a little balance iffiness there, and we'll get it fixed in the next update. All right. I know. I was fighting razor beaks yesterday. I'm like, holy God. So yeah,
that's why we have testing. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it's very important to have shields and dodging when you're fighting those creatures right now.
Or run away. That's always an option, you guys. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's an option. Sometimes it won't help. You read through the miscellaneous fixes when you get a chance. Mushrooms now drop different types of mushrooms as you're harvesting. So they're not all mushroom.
Right. Like chanterelles and brown
shimmy. It reminded me of canned mushrooms because they were just mushroom. Yeah. Anyway, that's fine. A lot of food recipes used to require bone. Yeah, that's out. Damaged projectiles have been visually upgraded. Thank you to the art team.
Oh, man, Johnny did a good job on those projectiles. I really like them.
Oh, yeah. The Helix, Gravity Gun, and Companion Orbs now have some audio. So turn your sound on, folks, and listen to that. That will make Kurt very happy. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Kurt. Harvesting, hunting, mining, and lumbering loot drops have been approximately equalized. So you gain.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, they needed a little bit of balance there. People are not paying enough attention to makers. I don't know if you want to talk about makers. Maker spawning strategy has been revised so that lower encounter rating makers spawn fewer creatures. That way you don't get giant herds of fawns and bunnies. But
yeah, I mean, honestly, if we did our job right, you're not going to notice that stuff. It'll just feel more fun. It'll be what we're doing is we're not spawning DR1 makers anymore. We're just not, because getting 16 fawns in one place was just silly. So we got rid of that stuff, and then we also bumped up the spawn rate so the middle range of the danger ratings gets propagated out more. So there's more of those. And so it's kind of a bell curve. There's very few of the low end ones. There's a bunch of middle ones, and then there's the ones at the end. So when you go out and you start destroying makers and they begin to spread, they're always going to spread the really low end spawners, but there'll be very few creatures in those spawners. And then over time, if you don't mess with those spawners, they'll mature and start progressing up the growth path until they become really formidable. So it just feels more correct now when you're playing the game than it did previously.
Okay, Zelaz42 asks, will there be an outfit designer or a transmog type thing? Other games have it where you can save and recall outfits and can make for some really cool characters.
Yeah.
Are we ready to talk about that yet?
We'll get there. I mean, there's going to be a skill tree that's all about doing that. So, like, for instance, I can't remember what it is, beautician or something like that. Oh, no, it's genetic engineer. Oh, it's split up amongst multiple trees now that I remember. So there's a beautician and a clothing thing and a genetic engineer. And so there's a lot of different skill trees that will be involved with appearance changes. The idea of a closet of clothes so that you can then pull up an outfit at a moment's notice, that's what I would consider a backbone MMO feature now. It used to be new, but that's not anymore. It's something that people kind of expect, and I would hope that we have that. Not yet. It's not going to be soon.
Do you expect to put some focus on spaceships and space travel at some point? I like the softball here. Or will the focus be on the planetary surface for the foreseeable future?
No. We're definitely going to do starships. I mean, we promised them in Kickstarter. We better do them. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of gameplay in space that's just not there yet. A lot of that is going to start appearing once we start to spread out the galactic network, and planets are organically going up and going down, and you start having to go back and forth because the portal system that you're using right now, that's not a real thing. We're not using the portal system.
Yeah.
It's not at all what's going to be there. What's going to eventually be there is, and I have to be careful about how I speak about this, but you'll have a planet, and then near that planet, there's obviously going to be space zones. Now, one of the things we'd like to do is have solar system so that there's some shared space zones, and then there's a bunch of planets that link to that space zone, those space zones. But in one of those space zones, there will be a worm gate. And the worm gate is a servitor construct that you use to go to a different solar system. So when you leave a planet, you'll need to go through the space zones and then get to the worm gate, use the worm gate, connect to a different solar system, and then you can move around there like that. It's not rapid travel. There's a bunch of stuff that will get in the way of you just being able to easily move from area to area. And then there's also wild wormholes, but we'll get to that later. So we don't want that to just be empty space. and it shouldn't just be always asteroids. So there will be nebula and creatures that exist only in space, and there's a whole bunch of gameplay that will be implemented before we launch. And it's all readily doable. We just haven't gotten to it yet.
Right. The helpers in stream, Larrick and Thomas, are showing off their knowledge of changing minerals into other minerals and harvesting them. Nice job.
Oh, cool.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, great questions today coming up. We're almost out of. Oh, we're out of time. We're out of time.
We are
If you are in the game, if you are in the playtest, you can launch Steam now and log into the game. Servers are up. Go for it. Check it out. You may need to let the thing patch for a moment if you haven't done so already. It is available to you whether you were previously signed up for playtesting, or if you are a Kickstarter backer and you filled out your survey and you got hooked up with First Look and you're ready to go, you can launch and go on in, is my understanding. If you've got a late pledge, or if you filled out your survey late, like in the last few days or something, you may not yet be set up. Our elves are doing a lot of other things too, besides going and making a pass at processing the pledges. So keep that in mind. The elves are trying to touch it more than once per week, but sometimes that's not. Sometimes that's optimistic. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. We will post a new play schedule for next week soon. We'll post some more live streams soon also. Fun spending a Saturday with you. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for coming.
Cheers.
And say hi to Rod if you join the test. You can join the Discord channel and talk to the devs while you're testing if you want. You don't have to turn off comms and just play at home. You can be in there with them and ask questions or give feedback or hear other people fall into lava and cry. I love it.
Enjoy the new caves. They're cool. Go look at them.